know if you guys realize it, but we are like a little bit over 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. I could not be more excited about it. So on today's show, we're going to celebrate, and I'm going to give you 5 surprise picks that the Baltimore Ravens could do at number 27 in the first round of the NFL draft. I've talked draft targets before. I've given you my top 5 for Baltimore, and they looked like this: Nick Emmanwori, James Pearce Jr., Matthew Golden, Kenneth Grant, and Jahdae Barron. But that's not what we're doing today, okay? We're not doing top. We're not doing most likely. We're doing surprises, okay? 5 guys. I'd be shocked, but it could happen at number 27. For that, I need you guys' help, okay? Get me to 800 followers on Twitter, on X, whatever you call it. I'm at 798, 2 followers away to 800. Really do appreciate every single one of you who's already followed me. And if you haven't, go ahead. Links in the comment section down below. It's also under the first paragraph in our description. Click that link. Follow me on Twitter. I tweet about the Ravens every single day. You're not going to want to miss it. Help me get to 800. I need you guys. All right, let's start with target number 1. Walter Nolen, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. Started his career with the A&M Fighting Texas Aggies and then transferred to Ole Miss. Had a really good year with Lane Kiffin. Right now he's going to be a projected second-round selection. But this is a guy that I could honestly see Baltimore absolutely falling in love with. He had 48 tackles, 6.5 sacks in 2024. 6'3", almost 6'4", almost 300 pounds. He looks the part and he plays like the part as well. Let's talk about the good coming when it comes to scouting Nolen. He's a good tackler. Only 5 missed in his career. And I think at that position, at defensive tackle, that's one of those where when one of those big boys gets their paws on somebody, you want them to bring them down. He checks the box on size and length. Like I said, almost 6'4", almost 300 pounds. And with that, he still has some pretty solid bursts, which sometimes is hard to find for guys his size. Let's talk about the bad when it comes to scouting Nolen. He's not a great shedder in the run game, okay? A lot of guys, when they kind of run at him, he doesn't necessarily have the ability to shed those blocks. He had 6 games this past year with either 0 or 1 pressure, which is a really massive head-scratcher for a guy who has his traits, his athletic abilities, to pretty much just throw a goose egg up there in 6 games, no pressures or 1. Very, very confusing. And also, he can seem to be a little bit late to react or ID the play. Now, I don't know how much of that has to do with the fact that he only had 1 year in Ole Miss's system, but I definitely think that's still something to monitor. Shout him out for me in the comment section down below. Name a surprise candidate that the Ravens could draft at number 27. Who's someone that you don't think anybody else is thinking about that you believe could be a realistic option for Baltimore late in the first round? You'll let me know your answer in the comment section down below. Let's stick with Ole Miss, and how could you not with those sweet powder blue and red uniforms? Let's stay on the defensive side of the ball. Cornerback Trey Amos. He started his career at the University of Alabama. Didn't find a ton of success there, transferred to Ole Miss, and really broke out onto the scene. Had 50 tackles in 2024, 3 interceptions, and 13 pass breakups. He's a guy who's also, like Walter Nolen, projected to go in the second round. After a lot of guys have seen the way he's been testing at pro days and at the combine, I think some people have gotten a little bit higher on him when they see the way that his feet move and how fluid he is in his movements. Because if he's there at 27, and there's some other cornerbacks that have already gotten their way off the board, like a Maxwell Hairston, like a Jahdae Barron, like a Will Johnson, and Baltimore believes Trey Amos is that guy and could be that guy in 2024, it can, roll the dice, make that selection. If you look at his RAS, his relative athletic score, this is his score from testing in the combine, it's pretty dang solid, an 8.37. And really the biggest things bringing that down, weight and bench, which aren't necessarily that key when it comes to, cornerbacks. Some things to keep your eye on, though. His vertical and his shuttle, not very impressive. And when you're playing that position, those kind of need to be a little bit higher. Let's talk about the good when scouting Trey Amos. He had a really low average completion in 2024, which is really, really impressive. Like I said, he's got those quick hips and feet that allow him to stick with wide receivers well. And because of that, he's pretty good in the press. Even though he lacks a little bit of that strength, his speed makes up for it. His size makes up for it as well. Let's talk about the bad, though, okay? Because He's a little bit of a delayed breakout player. Like I said off the top, started his career at Alabama, didn't really find success there early, really only had that one good year at Ole Miss. He missed far too many tackles this year, 6 in total, and when he's in off-man coverage, he's not near as comfortable as he is in press-man coverage. And so that's something to monitor. That's something to look out when scouting Amos and, the possibility of him being a Baltimore Raven. Let's talk about a guy we talked about on Shorts yesterday, Carson Schwesinger. It's a tough one. You want to say Carson. Linebacker out of UCLA. He had a fantastic year with the Bruins. And why are we talking about Schwesinger? Well, he had his top 30 visit with the Baltimore Ravens. He is one of the 30 players that Baltimore is selecting to look at privately, talk to privately, work out privately, and it doesn't really surprise you when you see the state of their current inside linebacker room. Everybody's still very confident in Roquan Smith. That's not changing. Trenton Simpson, people are expecting a breakout year in year 2, and you didn't really get it. And then behind them is Jake Hummel, who's a special teams god, and then you got Kwenku, who's a massive question mark. You need depth. You debatably even need a starter right there. Carson Schwesinger could be that guy. 136 tackles. 90 of those were solo tackles in 2024. 4 sacks on the year as well as 18 pressures, 9 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, 5 pass breakups. And you see that sack number at 4 and that pressure number at 18. He was highly effective as a blitzer in 2024. And that's one of the things that jumps off the page when you look at the scouting report, okay? He also, as a linebacker, should be as a very quality tackler. 11 for 7.6 when talking about missed tackles, ain't that bad. And he's pretty quick for a linebacker, okay? Especially one of his size and of his strength. He's pretty quick. Let's talk about the bad, though. He was kind of like Trey Amos, a one-year wonder. 83% of his career tackles have come in 2024. And his size is more of that safety/linebacker tweener. One of those guys who kind of just might get lost in a defense because they're a little bit too small to play linebacker. They're a little bit too big to play safety, so they kind of have to play a little bit of a hybrid. And the power necessarily isn't there. The arm strength is there. The bench reps are there. The power doesn't necessarily follow. So coming up, let's talk 2 more surprise draft options. I got 2 more names to give to you. 2 more names to reveal. 2 more guys to break down, so don't go anywhere. But I got to talk about our sponsor at Game Time. Our very, very good friends at Game Time. They're back on the show. I could not be more excited about it because they are the official ticketing partner right here at the Ravens Rundown. And what I love about Game Time is they provide the easiest way to get tickets on short notice. What I love about Game Time's low prices is you can spend more money on hot dogs, pretzels, and beer, and it's also easier to get a larger group together if everyone's wallets don't take a massive hit getting into the ballpark. Game Time has an awesome feature. It's called Zone Deals. And Game Time Zone Deals allow customers to purchase tickets for a general area of a venue rather than specific seats, offering potential discounts and flexibility for last-minute ticket buyers. With Zone Deals comes the potential for lower prices. Zone Deals can offer discounts compared to standard ticket listings. Of course, Game Time is known for their last-minute ticket sales, and Zone Deals can be particularly useful for looking for those deals closer to the event date. Game Time is incredibly easy to use as well. They got the events listed. They got the games listed. You choose which game you want to go to. Then you see all the tickets right there. They still have that awesome Game Time Picks button, which shows you the kind of deals you could get. So once you click into a ticket, you'll see that Game Time Picks. And right now, they got a super deal. So I want to see what that super deal looks like. Click into that. You get the views from your seat. You can see everything. You can see how much it costs. All you got to do is check out. And, of course, don't forget, use our code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account. Use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. The link to this promo is in the comments and in the description of today's video. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. Alrighty, so we've given you 3 targets. Let's not stop here, though, because we got 2 more to talk about. Up next, let's talk edge rusher, a name we really haven't heard much about, Bradyn Swinson, out of Louisiana State University, otherwise known as LSU. you. He had a really good year in 2024, and I think he might be the most underrated prospect going into this draft. He's a little bit under 6'4", 255 pounds. Right now, he's being projected as an early third. So this is exactly why they're called surprise draft targets. But I wouldn't be surprised if Baltimore looked a little bit more into his film, looked a bit more into his game, and thought this guy might fit perfectly in this scheme for Zach Orr. I'm really, really impressed by the PFF grades, okay? And I know I say this every time, and I want to keep reiterating it. I know, I get it. PFF numbers, they're not gospel. But still, when you have a 90.3 pass rush grade, a 91.4 true pass set pass rush grade, and a 22.1 pass rush win rate, he wins his pass rush reps almost a quarter of the time. He's off a block in 3 seconds. That's incredibly impressive. Let's talk a little bit more about the good with Swinson. He has a knack for getting his hands up, which I feel like is a little bit of a lost art, okay? And that kind of goes into the last one. Just very good hand usage overall, whether it's up in the air or with rips, swims. He's got a lot of really good moves in his bag. And because of that, he's very effective with getting out of the quarterback, not only because of all the moves in his bag, but also he's just got an incredibly high motor. He doesn't quit. He doesn't stop running. He doesn't stop the pursuit. However, all the good also comes with bad. He doesn't have great power against the run, but honestly, when you think about Baltimore, when you look at Baltimore, they could sacrifice a little bit of run defense for a little bit better pass defense. Bit high on the missed tackles, a little higher than what I'd like to see and than what I do like to see when scouting a player, when looking into a player. And also when it comes to the pass rushing, if he's not effective, it's because he has a little bit of a tendency to rush high, which means offensive tackles can easily get their leverage under him, knock him off the block. We got one more target to talk about. Before that, make sure you guys lock us in right now and hit that subscribe button. Okay, we do weekly mock drafts right here on the channel. Best draft coverage you're going to find. We're getting so close to the draft. Lock us in for these next 2 weeks. I promise you're not going to regret it. Any draft rumor, any draft news, we'll make a video about it and deep analysis of all the top targets like we're doing right here on today's show. Subscribe right now, and let's get on with our last target, which is offensive tackle Josh Simmons out of Ohio State University, the Buckeye in scarlet and gray himself. He, like Schwesinger, has a top 30 visit with the Baltimore Ravens. This one came out yesterday evening, and it surprised me a little bit because when you look at the depth chart for the Baltimore Ravens and their offensive line, it's like tackle's not really that big of an issue, and I don't think Josh Simmons is going to fall out of that first round. And even if he does, I still think picking him in the second or third is a little bit too high. I love Ronnie Stanley. You just locked him up. I love Roger Rosengarten. He had a fantastic end of his rookie year. Where you need help is in the middle on the offensive line. So this is one that I don't see happening. Of all the 5 I just gave you, of all the 5 we just talked about, Josh Simmons is the one that makes the least sense. If I'm sitting here on draft night and pick number 27 and the card that is turned in is Josh Simmons, I'm not going to be very happy. I'm not going to be very happy one bit. Before we get on out of here, you let me know. Pick one of these 5 guys to draft. Type WNTA, CES, BS, or JS in the comment section down below. Weigh in and let me know your answer. While you guys are scrolling on up back to the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Lock us in right now for the best coverage you're going to find right here on YouTube. For producer Dylan, I'm Joey Petersen. We'll see you next time.